Peace and love, y'all. It's your girl, Divine Priestess, tapping back in with y'all with more messages from Spirit. And you already know what time it is. We're going to go ahead and clear the space. Excuse me. Clear the energy. So to the Most High, God, Spirit, Ancestors, Universe, thank you so much for your divine protection, your unconditional love, and clearing this space in this reading. Thank you so much for repelling any low vibrational demon, deity, entity, evil eye, hexes, black magic, hoodoo, voodoo, curses, and so mote it be. I say, what's poppin', hit Screwface? Thank you so much for joining the live, love. Yes. So today, y'all, we are going to be talking about the father wound versus the mother wound and how it affects us, okay? Because, I mean, let's keep it real. We always making fun and joking about people with daddy issues and, you know, all of these things. But the reality is a lot of times these issues are really stemming to our dysfunction as adults. Hey, the Shari Amor, thank you so much for joining the live, love. So it's like, yes, at times these issues are lingering behind the scene and we don't even realize that we have these issues or that they are affecting us, right? So these are one thing I just wanted to bring to the forefront so we can come to the realization that, you know, a lot of our traumas, a lot of our triggers, right? Or a lot of the dysfunctional behaviors that we carry throughout life that we may not recognize and bring it to the forefront. A lot of these things are stemming from our father wounds or our mother wounds or from our upbringing, okay? From us growing up. And these are the issues that carry along with us that sometimes we bury down and act like don't exist, right? Because, you know, we don't want to call certain people out or we don't want to make people feel uncomfortable, or us standing in our truth is always going to make somebody else uncomfortable. And a lot of times we look up at our parents as authority figures. So we never want to address the elephant in the room because we never want to feel like we are disrespecting our elders, or we don't want to feel like we are, you know, our parents, quote unquote, did the best, you know, that they probably could do based on what their upbringing is. You know what I'm saying? It's like a lot of times we got to bring that empathy in the room with us to get us to understand some of the things we may have went through in our childhood that really should have been unacceptable. But because whatever their upbringing is, whatever their childhood wounds were, they carried with them and passed that down, right? So this is how this generational curses happen, because we're not dealing with the wounds of our parents that they put onto us and pass it down. And then it's like we just act like these traumas or these wounds don't exist, or we don't go back and address the elephant in the room and talk about, you know, these childhood wounds that we received, right? It's like we don't want to bring those things back up, because it brings a level of discomfort, not only in you, but in the person you attempting to try to address these issues with, okay? And a lot of times, not everybody's willing to deal and heal with those things, okay? Or some, you know, a lot of times that your parents don't expect for you to remember these things. And I don't know why. It's like, if you think about it, we've all been children before, and we all can go and reflect back on certain memories, right, from our childhood. And, you know, we may not have a whole bunch of them, but I'm sure if you have some memories from your childhood, maybe even going back as far as 3, 2, you know what I'm saying, when you were a baby. But a lot of times we don't expect that you're going to hold on and harbor and remember these things to have to address them way long down the line, you know what I'm saying? But if you're seeking healing, that is a lot of times what is needed, right? We need to face these triggers, these traumas from our childhood in order to deal with it, because otherwise they're just going to be reflected in our lives by the triggers, by the subconscious things that we will into our lives based on our trauma, because we're not healing it, right? So subconsciously we're creating a reality around us that is being created from our subconscious. And so we're experiencing things and we don't know why, because it's like, well, it's probably because you didn't address what that issue was, and it's somehow being reflected in your behaviors, or, you know, and you may not even realize it, y'all. So I just took some notes down. And if you guys are wanting to dig deeper into this, I'll give you some references that I researched to document this information. There's a YouTube channel I was watching. Her name is Terry Cole. She gives some really good information about how to heal these wounds that we have from our fathers and our mothers, you know, and how to face those things, okay, in order to overcome those challenges and things like that. And then there's another guy. His name is Asun Anwar. So that's EHSUN Anwar, ANWAR, or Anmar. I'm sorry, y'all. It's one of the two. But yes, what I was looking up was the mother wound in men, right? So I was trying to highlight the difference between the father wound and the mother wound and the effects that it has on women versus men. Hey, a Dream Rocks, welcome to the live, love. Thanks for being here, honey. So yes, the father wound versus the mother wound, okay? So let's get into it, y'all. It's like the father's role in our lives usually is the protector, right? The provider, the advice giver, okay? That is the role the father normally plays in our lives, okay? And the mother role usually is like the nurturer, the emotional support and day-to-day caregiver, okay? So it's like if in your early development stages, if you were lacking any of these things, it can show up in many unhealthy, dysfunctional ways in our adulthood. So this is something that we got to reflect on and acknowledge that, hey, I may have some dysfunction from my childhood. You know, I didn't have the best relationship with my father, or I didn't have the best relationship with my mother. And, you know, it may be reflecting in my day-to-day and I don't even realize it, right? So it's like us just bringing the awareness that we possibly could have these wounds. It allows us room to find ways to heal ourselves. If we just ignore and neglect the fact that we didn't have the best childhood and things like that, and we just try to bury it down, these things will show up in different ways, and they will resurface until you decide that you want to actively heal these things, okay? So yes, the father wound tends to show up as psychological or social problems, okay? These can create abandonment issues with rejection, okay? Constant worry of partners leaving you, depression, anxiety, attachment issues, mental and emotional development issues. Hey, Relove 129. Hey, baby, welcome to the live. So yes, these father wounds tend to show up as these things: psychological, social problems, abandonment, rejection issues, all of these things, right? And it also shows up as lack of validation in self, okay? This leads to seeking validation through sexual relationships with men. You know, if this is a woman who's experiencing a father wound, okay? But it's not just it has to be a woman, because these can be interchangeable with men and women. These father wounds and mother wounds can be reflected in these ways, whether you're a woman or a man, okay? But it is more likely in a woman for us to seek this validation it's more likely in a woman to seek this validation through sexual relationships with men, okay? Because what it is essentially always been antisocial. Big facts, right? Antisocial ain't always a bad thing, but it's about having the balance, okay? But I totally get being antisocial, because it's like when you're young and you can't trust your own people that were supposed to be there to nurture you and to love you and things like that. And if you didn't get that naturally from those people that should be the most trusted, right, then of course it's going to be difficult to be trusting with other individuals outside of yourself, okay? So totally understandable, okay? So yes, the lack of validation in self, okay, this leads to the seeking validation through sexual relationships, okay, and it's like you're looking to feel accepted by the right one, okay. We're seeking out older partners as a way to find the father figure that we never had. These are all ways that we, act in our adult ways when we lack these type of positive father figures in our lives, okay? Also, we avoid engaging in emotional interactions, okay? We choose to avoid emotion in relationships altogether. Sometimes we decide to just focus on career, okay? My grandma always had to tell people she ain't social and that it's okay. Yeah. And that it is true that it's okay to not be social, because I'm telling you, I mean, it's like you want to have the balance, because what I do realize though is that blessings do come through other people, just like stressing be coming through other people. So it's like sometimes we need to have a balance, because we don't want to just cut off good people in our lives because of the trauma that we had with the negative, low vibrational people. And girl, I just met my dad this year. You hit it right on the money. Wow, that's crazy, girl. I'm so happy that you're getting to meet him, and I hope that it's a positive relationship, and that, you know, people grow up and they become better and decide, like, you know, I wish I was a better influence in your life and all of that. I hope it's one of those type of dynamics where it's helping you know what I'm saying, dig deeper and to find that healing. Because yes, y'all, it's like it's so many different ways that this person can show up and be absent, you know, and it's like even people with 2-parent homes, okay, can still have these wounds, still have these abandonment wounds, or still have these father wounds or mother wounds, and though could be in a 2-parent household. Okay, so we're going to break that down as well on how these effects can be had on us. Okay, so yes, it has an impact on our sexual behavior and can lead to sexual promiscuity and negative attitudes towards using protection as well. Okay, it also can create feelings of inadequacy, low self-esteem, and always seeking the father substitute. And this is usually mostly subconscious. Hey, Grant Williams 334, thank you so much for joining the live, love. But yes, a lot of times this brings feelings of inadequacy, low self-esteem, and we're always seeking that father substitute, and it's mostly subconscious. So we don't even realize sometimes that we're doing these things, because it's like we've had this feeling of inadequacy and we're looking for somebody that wants to love us unconditionally. Like we're always seeking the unconditional love, because it's like we never received that. So it's like a yearning for that. And it's like, but also it's not that it's in the forefront of our minds that we have this awareness. Hey, Sani Messiah, thank you so much for joining the live, love. Yeah. So it's like we don't really realize this sometimes. So in our behaviors, in our actions, we're leading a certain kind of way that is creating these negative, you know, in exchanges. Okay, because it's like if we're coming from an unhealed place of lack of confidence and self-esteem and love and things like that, then it's like we're not really having the proper interactions either, and we're drawing in the wrong people, because if people are drawn to us because of those things, like we're not looking to trauma bond with other people. That's unhealthy. That's how you get into toxic dynamics, because if you guys can resonate with each other from your toxicity, but you can't resonate with your healing, or you can't come together and say, yeah, we had both experienced these and look how great and things that like we've accomplished and we've overcome, you know, that's something you want to resonate with somebody, but not like, oh yeah, I was abused too when I was younger, and and it's like now y'all just kumbaya over it. You see what I'm saying? But without seeing why it was necessary to go back and look at that trauma and to find healing in it. You know what I'm saying? And I definitely encourage people getting together and helping each other heal, but you know, it has to be from a level of everybody wanting to go in and heal their own traumas and not projecting their traumas on the other people and things like that. That's trauma bonding. That's not a healing dynamic, okay? So yes, y'all, daddy issues or father wounds, basically, same thing, are not limited to physical abandonment, okay? Because a lot of times people assume that just because their father wasn't there at all, or they don't know their father, or their father left them when they were younger and things like that, or maybe their father passed away and it wasn't like an option. You see what I'm saying? Because they just had to move to the next life. So it's like in these situations, you could still be dealing with these father wounds, okay? And these abandonment issues, okay? And you could have simply grown up with your father in your home, okay? But abandoned. Okay, right. You could have grown up with your father in your home, but that father abandoned the father role in your life, right? So it's like they may have been present physically, but mentally and emotionally, they were absent. Hey, Hefe Twan, thank you so much for joining the live, love. Unfortunately, I would never hear my dad's voice. He can't talk. He's been in a nursing home for 3 years, so I'm trying to feel the love. It's crazy. I have to fly back home to see him. Wow, girl, that is so crazy. But see how, and it's sad to say, like, I don't know how to say this. What I'm trying to say is that is like the cycle of life sometimes, right? I don't want to say like, oh, that's karma or that's deserving. We don't know what the circumstances are, what the situation was on why your father wasn't there and things like that, right? But the reality is like there's always going to be this cycle, right, that goes and it comes back around where that's how it works. Like it's like now it's like you're looking at your father and he's in a helpless state, okay? And it's like that's kind of how it was when you was a kid, because when we're innocent and we're pure, we're helpless. We're supposed to have a proper guidance and somebody, the proper protector and loving and protecting and watching over us. And when we don't have that, it's funny how the tables turn. I hate how, but that's what we talk about karma, right? And even though it may have taken how many ever years, because, how long he hasn't been in your life and now you're just able to go back and see him as you guys both being adults and stuff like that. And it's like it's switched in essence. So it's like what people got to realize too is like karma is crazy. And when it comes to your children and the responsibility that we have when our procreation, like, it comes into life and it's like, and we just neglect and we project and we don't pour into our children. That is heavy karma. That's heavy karma. Okay. And so, but prayers going up to you and hoping that, you can work through that, and hopefully it's healing your heart to be able to reflect on these things and being able to have that face-to-face interaction to address it, even if it's within your space or within your heart, because there's some people that don't even have that interaction to be able to deal with it. And it's like they have to work through it on their own. You see what I'm saying? So yes, I think that that's what it's about sometimes too. It just shows our strength when we can work through these types of things on our own. Yes, sis, for sure. For sure. Thank you too for sharing your testimony, sis. We appreciate you, right? So it's like, yeah, those daddy issues, they are going to reflect even if your father was in the home, okay? Because they, like I said, if they were mentally or emotionally absent, that could have even had a worse effect on you because they're there in your face. A lot of times that's when it leads to feelings of unworthiness and things like that, because it's like you see this person and they're capable, but they choose not to. Now that's even worse than a motherfucker just being dead, because, it's like, well, they didn't have no choice. God called them, but it's like somebody that was apt and able to be there for you and wasn't, that will create even deeper trauma. Okay. So let's see, behaviors exhibited that cause father wounds. Okay. And these are behaviors that are exhibited that cause father wounds. And these are the behaviors of fathers that may have actively been around you, actively been in your life. Okay. But they just didn't show up and play that father role. Hey, Amber Braden 84. Thank you so much for joining the live, right? So this could be examples like addiction. Okay. Or being overprotective and controlling, highly critical of you, mental health conditions, okay? Or may have left the home due to divorce, okay? Possibly abandoning you at birth, or maybe they passed away. Those were examples we used before. neglected your physical or emotional needs, okay? Verbally, mentally, physically, or sexually abused you, or over promising and under delivering narcissistic type of false promises and lies and things like that. Hey, Bryce Grimes, welcome back to the live, love. Or silent treatment or withheld love or money as punishment to control you, okay? Emotionally immature, or whatever you do is never good enough, okay? They belittle you or just, are mean and intimidating to try to instill fear in you, okay? These are all examples of, being abandoned, even if that father may have been in the home, may have been right there up under your nose, but it's like, if they're not tending to you emotionally or helping you with your physical needs and things like that, then you're going to still get this sense of abandonment. You're going to still have these father wounds. You're still going to have these issues, okay? And this is how it happens, as a child. Hey, real Jalen Anderson, thank you so much for joining the live, love. Thank you, love. I hope your day is going great too. So yes, y'all, as a child, right, we make up reasons why our parents exhibit these behaviors towards us, okay? And we internalize it. And then we make up false narratives in our minds why we aren't being properly loved and accepted. And it turns into, the examples of the father wounds, okay? And this is why, okay? It's like we as children, right? I was just talking about this, like as a kid, think about as the most simplest form of a kid, right? And you hear a song and you love the song but you don't know all the words, right? What do kids do? They fill in the words to what they think it is, even if it ain't not. Like, for example, there was that LL Cool J song when I was a kid. It was like, something like a phenomenon. And I was always like, something like a na-na-na-na or whatever. I would just say whatever I felt because I don't know what the fuck he's saying. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, that's what we do as kids. We fill in the fucking blanks to make shit make sense. And if nobody puts things into perspective for us, we'll carry that process with us all along into our childhood until it becomes corrected in some kind of way. You see what I'm saying? I got mommy and daddy issues. Fuck it. I ain't ashamed to say it. I own it. Right. That's the blessing. When we can own our issues, that's how we can heal them. And that's the problem why a lot of people ain't healing their shit, because they don't want to own it. They don't want to admit that they have these issues and they don't want to deal with it. They want to pretend like they're perfect and everything is, perfect in their lives. Okay. Go live that life, but eventually it's gonna hit you like a fucking box of rocks that you pretending ain't helping shit. You see what I'm saying? It ain't healing shit. And it's gonna come up all and then destroy everything you worked on because you didn't work on self first. You see what I'm saying? Rela 129, you laughing at me, girl, talking about something like a phenomenon. Or what was you laughing about, girl? You so silly. Let me see. But yeah, or laughing at Bryce Grimes talking about he got mommy and daddy issues, talking about fuck it, he ain't ashamed. Right. Shit. The reality is most of us, I ain't gonna say everybody, I can't speak for everybody, but most of us, have struggled or dealt with some type of fucking mommy or daddy issues. You see what I'm saying? So yes, y'all, as an adult, we put up with bad treatment. We suffer from overgiving and overdoing and perfectionism, lack of boundaries, relationship and mental health issues, attachment issues, trauma, anxiety, depression, dissatisfaction in relationships, difficulties in experiencing real love. Yeah, the song both, right? So yes, y'all, this is how this reflects. These father wounds show up this way. And they show up in this way and we chalk it up as just, we don't know where the trauma is coming from. And now we're able to take these things and link it back to something. Okay. We got to link it back to something. Otherwise we're just internalizing these traumas and just making it seem like, oh, it's just, or maybe we just can't identify it. So it's not helping us heal it. You see what I'm saying? So The lack of masculine guidance or a healthy father figure will naturally lean towards fear, hesitancy, speculation, and paranoia, okay? And y'all, this whole time I just thought it was because I smoke weed. Is why I'm a paranoid motherfucker, why I always look like I gotta watch over my back. Turns out, nigga, I got daddy issues, okay? And I'm a fucking paranoid, okay? Because I didn't have that proper protection. I didn't have that proper nurturing from my father. So now I'm, nigga, everybody, I can't trust nobody in this motherfucker. You see what I'm saying? But I'm healing that. I'm healing that, right? I'm healing that. But it's like, if I wasn't able to reflect and see that, then I wouldn't know why that I'm always hesitant or speculating the person's intention, or I'm paranoid, or I can't trust somebody and this and that. Well, when you lack a good masculine guidance in your life, this is how it shows up in your adulthood. Okay, you when you're hesitant and you're always speculating and you're always paranoid, then you're never able to be decisive about making life decisions in your life, because you always got the question, well, what's the outcome gonna be? Is it gonna be safe for me? Is this the right way to go? And then it's like you're always riding the fence. You're not ever making moves and making decisions and things like that. So we have to pay attention to that as well, to ensure that our fear, the fear that we have, we sort through it, because fear is what keeps us from manifesting and creating our, greatest desires. You know what I'm saying? So yes, y'all. And when men lack masculine guidance, it causes men to struggle with developing healthy male friendships. It shows up with them struggling to work with other male colleagues. And also it causes women to lack trust in masculine figures and things like that. Okay. So that's a little bit about what those father wounds can look like and reflect in our adulthood. Okay. And now we're going to move over to the mother wound. Okay. And what the mother wound looks like is like we could have lacked love and compassion from our mothers. We could have lacked emotional attunement. Okay. So not us, but our parents, our mother rather, could have lacked emotional attunement to us as infants. Okay. May have been negligent. Okay. Now here's another thing too. Now, if let's say you were prematurely born, you know how some babies, they're in incubators, and that makes you lack that skin to skin interaction that you get when you first come out the womb, which allows you to like have this emotional attachment to your mother, right? But if you didn't get that skin to skin interaction at birth, that is another reason why sometimes those parents, they lack that nurturing ability towards you. I like to be upfront, so when a mild action happens, those around me knows where it comes from, and I can use it as a moment to get better with those close to me. I like that, Bryce. I can relate to that as well. It's just being able to be honest and upfront about what you're going through and things like that. So it's not like a projection or things like that. In the past, those close to me tried to use it against me. And they'll do that too. And I've noticed that people who are narcissistic and you try to be upfront and everything, they will use that against you. Trump Main 1, thank you so much for joining the live, love. But yes, they will do that, Bryce. They will use that against you because it's like you're just trying to be thoughtful and give them a heads up and like, hey, this is how I move. This is how I am. I'm trying to avoid confrontation, or I just want to be transparent in my communication so we're better understood. And people will take that. And like I said, if people don't want to understand you, they won't. Even when you make it so small, so simple, so easy for them to understand you, and they still refuse that understanding, that's why. It's because they're narcissistic and they want to keep that emotional conflicting energy going on within you. So they don't want to create an outlet for you to be understood. They want you to continue to feel, so it's like they are trying to use it against you. Yes, they are. And with intention. Nah, they tried to throw it in my face when I wasn't aware of it. Yeah. I mean, to me, it's the same thing. It's like, that's a tactic. You know what I'm saying? That's what they'll do in moments when it's beneficial to them. Okay. No problem, Trump main one. Thanks for being here to take in this wisdom. I appreciate you as well. So yes, y'all, as an adult, the effects of the dysfunctional childhood upbringing looks like disastrous relationships, clinginess, or being too demanding, insecurities, low confidence, feeling lack of importance, imposter effect. And this is different from imposter syndrome. The imposter effect is where you feel distrustful of what you know or undeserving, and you undermine your own success and make excuses for your success as if you don't deserve it. Okay, so that's what the imposter effect is, and this is normally from that. It's from like narcissistic parents a lot of times, because it's like they never validated you, they never made you feel like a level of importance or that you matter, you know, in the grand scheme of things. And so, you know, now this lack of importance, you know, now it's like you're always questioning your importance in matters, or, you know, in levels of where you're trying to apply yourself. It's like you're questioning if you even bring any type of, like, if you're bringing any type of benefit to the table type of deal. It's like they will make you question that just because the lack of importance you felt from you not having parents that nurtured and loved you. Okay, so let's see. Yeah, so it's like, and if you don't, let me say in my body, I'm trying to figure out where I left off at, y'all. Okay, yeah, people pleasing. It shows up as people pleasing, lack of boundaries, seeking validation and care from others, fear of rejection and abandonment and being alone, not trusting your own feelings, lack of worthiness or self-value, questions everyone's motives and doubts anyone's sincerity, unable to self-regulate emotions, overly offensive and sensitive to others' opinions. Man, this topic is too very sensitive for me. I agree with everything you're saying. Yeah, Bryce, it's like, that's why I wanted to bring this to the forefront, because the reality is we all struggling with this shit. Whether people want to admit it or not, some people are not willing to self-reflect. And people don't realize the self-reflectors are the ones that have the power. People that are actually willing to look at their flaws. And it's not even a flaw. That's not even a flaw. That's not something that you could control. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, at the end of the day, when we lack certain things, you know, we are empowered in other areas, or if we empower ourselves in other areas, that lack in other areas don't even fucking matter. So it's just like you are empowering yourself because you can go and reflect on the trauma, on the hurt, on the things that you may have desired for it to be better, but it wasn't. But it's your acceptance of it and your reflectance of it to be able to process it in the healthy way, because this whole time we've been processing this shit in an unhealthy way and it hasn't benefited us at all. Okay, so it's just like, yes, you see what I'm saying? This is us going through the healing by reflecting on some of those things that may have inflicted pain towards us as children, but now we're adults, we're able to transmute this and use it so we can heal ourselves, and then also convert this energy, and we like shift it so we can pour in the proper healthy love so that our children don't have these mother and father wounds. You see what I'm saying? So that is why this is so important for us, you know. But yes, interaction is so I'm sorry, y'all, I keep forgetting where I left off at. So questions everyone motive. Okay, yeah. So now we're gonna go to men with the mother wound. Okay, so the men with the mother wound. Okay, this you may notice this because these men are unable to emotionally provide for their women in a relationship, because a lot of times these men are looking to be mothered and nurtured. Okay, a lot of times these type of men become defensive when women express their needs or emotions and takes it as criticism instead. Okay, and a lot of times, even if he's providing financially, he still leaves his partner feeling uncared for and lonely. Okay, normally their partners are fearful of triggering them and walking on eggshells to avoid confrontation and to avoid taking offense. They don't want to, offend them in any type of way, shape, or form. And they fundamentally don't view their partner as an equal. Okay, 9 times out of 10, they didn't witness their mothers being loved and nurtured as children. Okay, or they didn't see their mother being respected as a child. Okay, so it's like that's not their blueprint. The blueprint of how they feel a woman should be treated a lot of time is based on how their father treated their mother. Okay, and a lot of times when they have this negative connotation of women, is because they lacked being able to see a man respect their woman or respect their mother. You see what I'm saying? So it's just then they tend to reflect that in their adult by not having this respectful way of dealing with women. Okay, so I want to use something as an example, because like I remember when I was younger, because like I would say the archetype of the type of father that I had, my father was more of like a narcissistic archetype. Okay, where like he pretended to be a good dad, like into the public, right? It's like he wanted to portray this image that he was a good father. He wanted everybody to look like he was a good dad. So it's like when I was a kid, I really embraced my dad. I really loved him. I really wanted to be like him. He was my favorite person. And I was just like, oh my gosh, dad. And like my younger years, I was very like tomboyish. Like I thought my dad was cool. So like I tried to take on his manners and I tried to be like my dad even when I was younger. And then it got to the point where like, cause my dad is one of those guys who's very charismatic. He's loud. He's very popular. He even is very wealthy. Like he owns his own businesses. He has, he was one of those womanizing type of men as well. Had a lot of women when I was younger, And so these were what I grew up around, was like seeing all of these. Like, to me, I looked at them as good characteristics. I thought like, oh, my dad is dope. Like, he's cool. My dad got all the nicest cars. He's, a businessman. He got all these women, and because of that's how society makes you think that's like success, I guess. You equate it to that, but then it was like, once I became a teenager, right? Once you become, like, you start to fade out of your, not fantasy, but just like a kind of like a facade that we have, because when we're kids, we look up at our parents as like gods and their perfection, right? Until we become smart enough and adult enough to see that nobody's perfection, nobody's perfect. And we grow up and we look at it and we're like, hey, Brace at 888, thank you so much for joining the live. But yeah, we look and we realize nobody is perfection. You start to see the reality of who your parents really are as adults and just as humans, as people. And so once I became a teenager, I start to see the real narcissistic ways of my dad. And I always held on to certain promises that he made me when I was younger. Like he would always promise me things or be like, oh, but it was a way of manipulation. Like I remember, like I was very creative and I used to make like these little bracelets out of yarn and I would wear like little chokers around my neck. And I remember it's like he hated that he didn't like them. And so I remember he like was like, why are you always wearing them around your neck? Like take that off. Like, look, if you stop wearing that, I'm going to buy you a gold necklace. You know what I'm saying? Like basically just manipulating me to do something that he wanted me to do. But then you never bought me the necklace. You never, like, it's like, I still remember this as a grown ass woman. You see what I'm saying? So it's like we all hold on to our childhood regardless. I don't give a fuck how old we get. There's always going to be some childhood memories that we hold on to that if we don't deal with it, we'll carry that along with us, and it could be constantly. We need to constantly confront the healing of that thing. If we don't address it and realize it is something that needs to be healed, right? But my point was just to say that the archetype of the father that I had was the narcissistic type of father, the womanizer, the man that, well, like I said, he was a womanizer. He was like how to be a player. You know what I'm saying? Like the popular guy that all the girls wanted, and like he used all his women to get us things, you know what I'm saying? He like manipulated the women into believing that, you know, he had us around different women, all of that type of dynamic. You see what I'm saying? And then out in public, everybody looking at him like he's the man and like he's such a good dad. And I was so hurt when I was younger that any chance that I got, that if somebody knew my dad and they like, hey, look, they used to call me his name and stuff, and I would be like, who? What? That nigga ain't, you know, I would be trying to, you know, just basically get across to the point that he's not who he say he is. You see what I'm saying? Wow, I'm sorry you had that experience. Oh, well, thank you, Bryce. Hi, I am Shanika. Thank you so much for joining the live, love. Thank you, Bryce. I appreciate your empathy and everything like that. But like I said, I look at things like this. Like, I feel like that only made me stronger, because if I would have grew up and I would have been around that 100% of the time. What's up, Floor Seats? Thank you so much for joining the live, love. Like, if I would have been dealing with that 100%, and I had to share this and I had to be in a household with this man 100%, like, I would not be the person that I am today. I would be influenced by his negativity, his negative ways, his outlook, you know, and things like that. And I wouldn't be the beautiful person that I am today if I had to be influenced by him on a regular basis. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, we got to find ways to heal our wounds and recognize that we actually, there's beauty in the fact that, okay, maybe it wasn't a bad thing that he wasn't in my life like that. You see what I'm saying? Sometimes you have to just make it make sense, so that way you're not carrying the weight of something that you really had no control over, and you was an innocent, pure child. You see what I'm saying? And you just have to look at things like that, okay? So it's like, this is how we're healing these wounds, is by acknowledging that we have the wounds in the first place, okay? We're acknowledging that we have these wounds, and we're accepting that we have these wounds. We're accepting that that our parents are only human, and humans are imperfect, okay? Because sometimes we have this expectation of our parents, you know, and it's sad, you know. I mean, we should be able to experience this from our parents, but the reality is that because of the world that we're brought up in and the environment that our parents grow up in, sometimes they don't have the ability to give you the love that you need. And maybe because they lacked it from their parents, they don't even know how to give you the love that you need or whatever. So it's just, we have to accept that sometimes, but that doesn't always take away the pain that comes from it. So, you know, we got to find ways to deal with that pain ourselves, you know, individually. But yeah, humans, we got to understand that acceptance that parents are only humans, and humans are imperfect. And even though they may be doing the best that they can, it still might not be good enough, okay? But making the amends to let go and mourn the idea of a perfect human, because they just don't exist, okay? They don't exist, okay? And then we have to just let go of the fact that there's no perfect parent, okay? Hey, no, well, living, lavish. Hey, welcome to the live, love. So let's see. So yes, y'all, surrender to the fact that your parents may never change, and relinquish the desire for them to change, and fully accept the way they choose to show up every day, right? Because that's another thing that will, like with my dad, like I continue to try to have a relationship with my dad. Like I kept trying, because I was like, I know I was actively trying to go through this healing process in my life. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to heal this father wound that I have. And I'm just going to let go of whatever things I've been holding on to, you know, with my dad and everything like that. And I remember like The problem was that I was trying to include him in that healing. You see what I'm saying? I was trying to include him in the healing. And I was trying to like tell him everything about how I felt about our relationship and the desire that I had to have a closer relationship with him. And it was like, he would pretend like, you know, that's something that he also desired. But in his actions did not reflect that that was something that he also wanted to heal, because he wasn't making that effort. It's like anytime that I communicated or talked with my dad, it's because I'm actively reaching out to you. And that's how even it was in my childhood. It was like, I would be like, Mom, I want to see my dad. And she would take me to go see him. Like, it was rare that my dad would actually come see me or come get me. You know, maybe on a few times on one hand that I could say that he actually physically was the one to come pick me up. But most of my childhood, it was like me, go see my dad. I want to see my dad. I want to see my dad. You see what I'm saying? And my mom didn't have no problem with that. Okay. She definitely, you know, would take me if I had that desire or whatever. So, but my point was just to say that, and trying to rebuild this relationship with him, I would get hurt again, right? Because it was like, I would think that, oh, we're healing, I'm forgiving him, right? But then it was like, as soon as he didn't do what I expected for him to do, hey, Gus, what's up, bro? Thank you so much for joining the live again, bro. So yeah, it's like whenever I would go to my father and be like, you know, I would get upset again because like I'm trying to rebuild the relationship with him. And then it's like, when I sensed that it wasn't a reciprocal thing, then I would get upset because I'm like, it's like, why am I'm the fucking child. Like, why am I trying to forgive you for something that I don't need forgiveness for? It's like, really, like, we be wanting to forgive people that they're not looking to be forgiven. You see what I'm saying? They don't care. Like, so it's like, that's when healing yourself. Hey, Ken Williams 94. Thank you so much for joining the live, love. So it's like, that's when you're healing certain things like that, right? It's like you have to heal individually within yourself, because you'll be looking to heal something and that's not something that they care to heal. So it's like you'll continuously struggle with healing it because that person that you're looking to heal the issue with, they're not in that space trying to heal with you. You see what I'm saying? So it's like sometimes we got to heal alone and just come to the acceptance that people are going to be who they are. There's no matter how much love that you confess, no matter how much you say, I want to have a better relationship with you, I want us to be connected. You know, if they don't have that desire, they just don't have that fucking desire. You see what I'm saying? So it's like you have to learn how to go within and not internalize the pain, not internalize the fact that, okay, my father don't really care to have a relationship with me. You got to learn how to separate yourself so you don't start internalizing and making it seem like, oh, I must be a bad person because my own father doesn't want to have anything to do with me. Or I must be, you know, what is it about me? No, baby, it's not you. You see what I'm saying? So it's like a lot of times it's hard to heal because it has to do with other people and we can't control other people, right? It's like we don't have the power to go within other people and want them to also want that forgiveness or to have that connection with us. Like it's unfortunate, right? It's very unfortunate. So let's see. So yeah, we have to surrender to the fact that your parents may never change, okay? And relinquish the desire for them to change and fully acceptance of the way they choose to show up. So you have to just accept them for who they are. Like I've had to learn to accept my father for who he is. And that's been very difficult for me. So it's like I almost had to accept the fact that it's like, okay, I'm not willing to have a fake relationship with you, right? So it's like, if you want to have a real relationship, holler at me. But I'm okay with releasing you in love and deciding that I don't want to deal with you at all because I refuse to have fake, phony relationships with anybody. I don't give a fuck how blood tied we're connected. If it's false, if it's phony, bitch, I don't want it. You can keep that shit. You see what I'm saying? So it's like I'm learning that blood, baby, just because you blood, that don't mean shit. Okay? Because God gives us soul family. God, it's like spirit. When it comes to God, it's our spirit. It ain't just about the physical form of things. So it's like, I could give a fuck if you come from the same blood, if you not feeling like we connected in spirit. Okay? So if you can't appreciate me for who I am as your seed, as your motherfucking seed, you see what I'm saying? Then it's like, I really don't have no respect. But it's like, at the same time, I have to level and balance my emotions, because I don't want to have hate, or I don't want to have any dysfunctional emotions about it. So it's like, I have to find that happy medium and balance to know how I want to deal and interact with you moving forward, so that I keep myself peaceful, and so that I'm not hurting, right, from this lack of love that I should have received from my father that I didn't, right? So this is how we heal it. We surrender. We don't try to change them. We accept things for what they are, and we relinquish it, and we release it, as best way that we can. Okay. And then giving yourself the love you desire to receive from your parents, and choosing to parent yourself in healthy ways, right? When we start to parent ourselves in healthy ways, we stop caring. We stop looking for parenting and stop looking for that validation in other people, because it's like, now we know what we need. We know what we were lacking. So now we're going and taking those things, and we're providing that to ourselves as adults. Okay. And we'll recognize the patterns of those unhealthy parenting attempts, so we don't repeat and recreate those unhealthy relationships for ourselves, okay? Whether it be with our own children or partners, okay? Because we don't want to project, like, if we grew up in a negative household and our parents didn't pour into us, and we know how that felt to us as children, why would we go and perpetuate and project that onto our children? Hey, Beyond Beautiful and Javon from the Zoo. Thank you so much for joining the live, love. But yeah, it's like, why would we decide that we are going to pass that pain down to our youth? Wait, like that's another thing too, because I try to empathize with my father, and I try to say, because I know that my dad's dad was also like, he was a womanizer. He was a player. He was, he was out here not a consistent father in my dad's life. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, I tried to use empathy to understand, like, okay, he didn't have that proper upbringing to know, but at the end of the day, I also look at it from a place, because since I didn't get the proper upbringing, but it didn't turn me into no miserable, hateful person that wants to project that shit onto my own kids. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I be feeling like people make a decision and they make a choice. You see what I'm saying? And it's like, we all have the choice to decide that we're going to tend to the things that we were neglected in our own childhood, so we can tend to it, and then also recognize it in our children, so we don't project that same pain onto our own children. You see what I'm saying? I've never met anyone who is as deep and wise as you that I can relate to. This is very cathartic for me. Well, thank you, Bryce. I really appreciate your feedback, and I really appreciate you, tapping in with me on a regular and always pouring into me and just giving me confirmation, because I be knowing it ain't just me. I know everybody, this is information that everybody needs, but not everybody is seeking, because they're distracted by life. They're distracted by everything they're constantly putting in our face, and we don't get to do the healing, because we got to be out here, doing the ABCD just to fucking survive. You see what I'm saying? So, we gotta, healing is priority in my life, though. You see what I'm saying? When we start making healing priority, we will start focusing on these things a little different, y'all. So, yes. Okay, so I guess I can pull a few cards just to see what Spirit has for us. That was pretty much it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't want to go too deep. Because, yes, y'all, like, it's still emotional for me. It's still a sensitive topic for me, because, like, that goes deep. Like, your parents and things like that. It's like, who don't want to have a good relationship with their parents? But it's like, if your parent chooses to not want to have a better relationship with you, like, what can you do about it? You can't force that on anyone, you know what I'm saying? And it makes you just, want to be a good example for your offspring when you decide to have children for yourself. You know what I'm saying? That's what I would love to see, is that a lot of people that did have to experience any type of abandonment or any type of wounds from their parenting, that it motivates and inspires them to become better so that they can love and pour into their children, differently, so we can continue to break these generational curses. And so we're not perpetuating these things, onto our kids. You know what I'm saying? Like, children don't deserve that. You know what I'm saying? Like, children be so pure and so innocent, and we be so quick to try to take their purity and their innocence away. And it's just because, and I think that has to do with the lack of empathy in people now. Like, it's a lot of empathy. There's no empathy in, like, these generations these days because of all of the chemical imbalances that we have from all of the toxic things that we're eating, these synthetic shit, whatever. All of these things is affecting our chemical makeup in our body, and it be throwing shit off where we should empathize with fucking children. And if we're not empathizing with children, that's a fucking mental problem that we need to motherfucking check. God damn it. I'm so sick of seeing people being so, like, there's a new TikTok wave or something where they're talking about I don't know what are they calling them, Gen Z or whatever the latest generation of parents is, and they're showing how lack of empathy, like they're all putting their kids on fucking TikTok and like doing little corny shit for views and stuff like that. Hey, Wall Street Wale, thank you so much for joining the live, love. But yeah, it's like doing like little corny shit with their kids, exploiting their children basically online. Some of them are overly sexualizing their kids and putting them on the internet, and then some of them are, just being, you're witnessing the lack of empathy that these people are having with their children. And there's this one, this one viral family, I guess. You know how they do like the YouTube stuff, and they put their family on YouTube and everybody watches them and stuff like that. It's kind of like that, I guess. But basically, there's been this uproar about this in particular girl who is showing that is abusive to her son because her son been flinching. Right, when she be doing with shit, the son be flinching. So now there's like this trend on TikTok where everybody's flinching at their kids to like see how their kids gonna respond to them flinching, because they're saying like, well, naturally, kids, if they're not abused, they're not gonna flinch, So now everybody's on TikTok tomorrow, jumping at their babies and shit. I'm just like, this is what I'm talking about this internet shit. Motherfuckers, internet shit be having people doing the dumbest shit. Okay, now you're flinching at your kids to try to prove a point. Like, that's what I'm saying. So the reality is like, yeah, there's a lot of lack of empathy going on. And we have to bring empathy back. We have to bring compassion back, generosity back. You see what I'm saying? Because we're just we don't give a fuck about nothing. We're so desensitized by fucking the internet that nothing moves us any fucking more. You know what I'm saying? We're never at a place where we're like, damn, this shit, something's not right. You see what I'm saying? And having negative emotions about other people's decisions lowers our vibration. We can't dwell on the BS. Big facts. Like, we just don't have enough space, enough energy, enough time to dwell on what other people got going on. Like, we should be so tapped into ourselves that we're not even concerned. Hey, Allison Victoria, thank you so much for joining the live, love. Yeah, so it's just like at the end of the day, when it comes to like, we just got to be better parents. We have to like have more empathy and not be so desensitized, because I know it's like when we're constantly being bombarded with the bullshit that we see on the internet every day, like it's so hard to be moved by anything these days. And I don't know if that has something to do with the lack of empathy as well, or I think when you start seeing something that's so crazy and you have to question the reality, if it's real or if it's not. Hey, Rex Keys, thank you so much for joining the live, love. But yeah, if you have to question the reality of what it is or what it's not, it's like it's like I said, it's the desensitization aspect of it, where it's like nothing, you don't care about nothing anymore. It's like, just doesn't matter, or whatever. But y'all, anyway, we're going to see what Spirit has for us. And we'll go ahead and wrap this up. Let's see, Spirit, what messages do we have for the collective? So yes, y'all, the Fool, that's all about being optimistic and things like that. So what I'm seeing is that, like, remaining optimistic, even in moments, like, because that we're reflecting on the fact that we may have some wounds that we have to heal, right? But the Fool is remaining optimistic. This is that energy that we remain in despite of whatever hurt, whatever things that we dealt with when we were younger, whatever wounds that we're carrying. We're still being optimistic. We're still taking a leap of faith, moving forward in the journey. Okay? We're still pushing forward because we're like, I'm like moved by the light within me, not the darkness within me. Okay? Hey, Mother Supreme, thank you so much for joining the live, love. Will Smith ushered in this desensitization once he slapped Chris Rock. You are hilarious. We had to decide if it was real or fake. Right? Right. That's so funny. There's so many other examples of desensitization, but that is a good one because we did have to publicly argue amongst each other on whether it was real or if it was fake. And come to find out, it was fake, whatever. But at the same time, it's really gaslighting because they're going to continue to make us feel like it's real. You see what I'm saying? So that's the reality of it or whatnot. But anyway, so the Fool. Yes. Thank you for having me, Queen. Yes, I'm so glad that you are here. Thank you so much for just joining the vibes and being a part of this conversation. Thank you so much. So yes, the Fool is about remaining positive, okay? And despite of whatever darkness we may have experienced in our childhood, having that power to keep pushing forward, okay? And the Fool is all about not knowing what's ahead, but knowing that when the Most High is guiding us, okay, it's going to be healing. It's going to be, blessings, beauty, like we said, optimism. So we're going to think about the best outcome, not the worst outcome, okay? And hey, Mega Mom G, thank you so much for joining the live, love. So yes, all right. So then, right, death comes in. So it's like with the Fool, this is you moving forward, stepping into the faith of whatever transformation is coming behind it. Because best believe when you heal, it's a transformation that is created. When you are healing, you are transforming for the better. It's like a timeline shift because you've shifted your mindset. You shifted your perception. You shifted the actions that you take. You shifted the way that you decide that you're going to show up on a regular basis, right? So that's going to inadvertently take you to new opportunities, open up new doorways, right? So that's what the timeline shift is about, okay? New experiences because we're taking new actions, okay? And that's what this is about. Transformation is when you allow that darkness to heal and you transmute it, you transform, okay, into something greater, okay? That's what the Phoenix Rising is about, okay? Rising from the flame, okay, into the Phoenix, okay, and rising and ascending, okay? So this is about overcoming these challenges. Like a lot of times our childhood wounds will be the death of us. Our childhood wounds will be our demise, will be our downfall. But when we are like this and we're optimistic and we choose to move forward despite of the pain, despite the bullshit, despite the darkness, okay, then that's when we transform into, like I said, the greatness that we really are, that maybe our parents didn't reflect to us or show us that we really are. Gotta go and continue to have a great day, Queen. Thank you, Bryce. I'll see you on the next live, love. You have a great day too, love. Yes. Okay, that transformation. Okay, so that's what that's about. Okay, and this goes from you being optimistic, okay, even though you may have been programmed that you aren't as great as you really are, okay? Or if you didn't get the validation that you needed, right? That was you still pushing through. And because you chose to still move forward, that is what transformed you, okay, into this Phoenix rising, okay? And this, now you're a place, you're somebody that has advice to give. You're somebody that has this wisdom, right? You have a level of wisdom. It's, you know, like you're like a philosopher in a sense, because you was able to transmute this energy and shift it. When you transmute and shift your energy, you literally become like a philosopher, okay? You've applied a philosophy to your life, and we watched you grow and attain wisdom and ascension through your healing process, okay? This allows you to be able to help others who are just still trying to figure it out, okay? Hey, Aries Great 1906, thank you so much for joining the live, love. Yes, so this is about us utilizing this awareness to empower, you know, others as well. And like I was talking about when we were talking about the wounds of the mother and the father, right? When we ascend and heal those wounds, okay, this is what we transmute. This is how we're passing this wisdom down to our children. We're passing it down. We are breaking those generational curses that come along with us neglecting these wounds, not reflecting, not looking at it as a way or a thing that needs to be confronted, okay? So we can have this closure, this communication, or we can decide who we need to leave behind. Because if we can't address traumas with certain people, certain family members, certain people that's supposed to love us and protect us, and we can't go and have a heart-to-heart with a motherfucker to try to have some closure, that person ain't for you anyway. I don't give a fuck if it's your mama, your grandmama, your motherfucking, I don't care. It could have been anybody. But this is what I'm saying. When you have people gaslighting you, you have people trying to create a facade around you, that's not healthy. You know, it doesn't matter if it's family or not. You got to learn how to let that shit go. You got to balance the scales with the truth. And not everybody gonna want to hear that truth, but that's not for them. That's what we need for healing, okay? Also, Ace of Cups is a new beginning and emotional fulfillment. So that's what happens too. Like a level of, we get to feel this level of peace and with our emotions, or even if it's not peace, right? Even let's say it's just an overflow of emotions because we just sat there and we let shit just be buried down within our hearts for so long, right? And we just walked around with this heavy heart, and all that created was resentment. All it created was fear and blockages in love and relationships because we were so fearful of being hurt. And we were hurt by the people that we were deemed as supposed to love us and care for us the most. And since that was the case, we could not trust anybody else. So that made us miserable emotionally. That made us show up unhealthy in relationships, in situations, in friendships, okay, in business opportunities. Okay, because if we're always looking at a situation and we can't never trust somebody, and we always being pessimistic and everybody's out to get you, and the world is just, you can't trust nobody, the world's so fucked up. Okay, if you got this type of energy, then that is when you cannot be in this place of emotional fulfillment. God can't bless you with peace and happiness and joy and all of these things within if you're sitting up here focused on the pain and the trauma and the things that you have yet to heal. Okay? So that's what it's about. It's about coming and finding this place of peace. Okay? Ensuring that, yeah, I'm not going to allow myself, right, to live in this misery and this pain because people don't want to show up as their true selves, because people don't want to accept the trauma that they created or caused. And like, they don't want to be transparent. They don't want to deal and heal. Okay. They want to continue to create this facade. Well, hey, I'm not going to participate in the facade. Okay. Yeah. This is what I'm talking about. Page of Swords is all about facades, all about tabloids, gossip. People lying though. It's like people spinning the story and spinning the narrative to work for their favor, okay? And to work against you, right? So it's like the whole time you'll have good intention wanting to heal with somebody, and it's like they don't want to be seen for who they truly are. Some people just got masks on. Some people have been treating you this way because it benefits them. Some people have been mistreating you this way because there's something that they get out of it. And we can't always fathom, well, what would anybody get out of trying to get over on me? Or what would anybody get out of trying to not validate me or whatever? You see what I'm saying? But people have ulterior motives. So you have to ask, like, when people in your family don't want to heal something, don't want to address something, then you can't force it, but you can also accept it within yourself that, oh, okay, they want to have this dynamic with me. They don't, because it's like if you're doing everything in your power to try to heal something and they're not giving the same energy to try to heal it, then baby, that's something you got to pay attention to. This is somebody that ain't for you. This is somebody that wants to create confusion. This is somebody that has probably been gossiping about you, been spinning the narrative to try to make it seem like, oh no, this is how this person is. In reality, that's who they really are. But the whole time you've always been the person that you were the scapegoat. Okay. Hey, everything is fine for L. Thank you so much for joining the live, love. So yeah, that's what this is about. Gossip and slander. Okay. And it's like when that's what happens a lot of times too, especially in family dynamics. You see what I'm saying? Like, I'll tell you. Anyway, Ace of Swords is all about new beginnings. Like, this is an epiphany moment, okay? This is about you coming to that understanding and awareness that, yeah, everybody ain't for me. And it's like, as much as I want to try to mend and heal and do this and do that, not everybody is even worth trying to mend the relationship, okay? This is an epiphany that you had, a download, right? You're just like, oh, okay, people don't want to communicate. People don't want to be transparent. Don't worry about it. I'm cutting you guys off. I'm cutting the dynamics off of people that want to portray a false narrative, because they have to be portraying a false narrative if they're trying to avoid and negate your truth of what the fuck your experience was as a fucking child. You see what I'm saying? And so that's when you got to cut these motherfuckers off, because they're ruthless. They don't care. They don't give a fuck. You see what I'm saying? They don't care about the fact that how bad they hurt you or whatever, because if they did, they would be willing to readdress it and say, you know what? I was young. I wasn't prepared. I apologize because I know that I could have went about this differently or da-da-da. It's like people who can't take accountability and can't take time to try to allow somebody to have their peace through their forgiveness. You know, you got to question their motive and question their spirit. What type of demonic attachments do they have? Because you have to be a fucking demon to treat your own children a certain kind of way. You see what I'm saying? But it's a level of strength, right? This is what this is about. It's like you have to have strength and be graceful in situations when you're trying to heal your heart, or heal matters of the heart and heal matters of childhood wounds, or healing matters that have to do with like close family members and stuff like that. Because it's like, it's hard to be graceful when there's a lot of pain built up and somebody has not been validating what you went through and trying to act like that's not what your experience was. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, this is you keeping a level of strength and grace to walk you through situations so you know how to deal with your family members. And this is how you should, with strength and with grace. Okay. When you're doing something with strength and with grace, okay, you're handling something, even when it's an opposing force and it's all aggression. It's like, when you have a level of composure, that is strength. Okay. People think this, oh, rah, loud. Motherfuckers want to talk all loud and shit and do this extra shit. That's not strength, baby. That's weakness. Okay. When you have a level of composure and grace through situations, that is when you have a level of strength. Hey, Sevens 1988. Thank you so much for joining the live, love. So yes, that's when you have a certain level of strength, okay? This is all about energy and motion, okay? That's what people don't realize, is that when you are moving through situations, that you have to have strength. You have to have grace. And it's like when you're withstanding a level of drama, like you're really trying to be noble in a situation. You see what I'm saying? That energy is powerful and it moves mountains. Okay. So that's why it's important for you to stay with this level of strength, because it gets you so much more further. Okay. Because it's like, otherwise you're going to be coming from a place of lack. Okay. Like you don't lack the strength to be able to handle these types of situations or to have a certain specific type of outcome. Okay. This is when you don't have the strength, then that's what is in substitute of that. Okay. Lack. Okay. And that's what forms in your spirit and in your heart. You know what I'm saying? That's what is formulated through you healing your childhood wounds and you avoiding the healing. Okay. The strength or the lack. That's what's going to be the difference in that. So that's why you should choose to go within. And when you go look at those childhood wounds, be open and willing to reflect, but also heal them so you don't carry that pain along with you. Hey, King of all kings, thank you so much for joining the live, love. Yeah, because we're not ushering. That's too many, y'all. I'm going to put that back in there. But yeah, lack mentality is not something that we are settling for. We're not going to settle for that mentality. Lack mentality is what comes from our wounds from childhood, our mother and our father wounds. That's what comes from that, okay? But when we go and we look to reflect on those things and we address them one by one, okay? And we recognize where that comes from and we see like, okay, I see what that is. I see what that is, right? That puts us in this type of energy. Okay. The emperor, it builds leaders. It builds emperor energy, independence. It builds this level of like, I can stand on my own too. I don't need shit. Like when you come from a household where your own parents weren't really covering and protecting you like they should have, and you outgrow that and you heal from that, you become a big fucking deal, because it's like you literally have mastered every damn thing that could have come your way. You overcome that. And then like this is the Aries energy, right? So Aries is about leadership, independence, standing on your own too. Okay, so this is the type of energy, and that's a beautiful energy to have. Like nobody necessarily wants to be alone, right? But to have this skill to be able to thrive being alone that's a big deal. Okay. And like the lovers, it also ushers in beautiful partnership. It ushers in, allows you to focus on the things that you really love, the things that you're passionate about, and to view those things without that negative perspective that we had before we healed. Because like we talked about, these lack of or these having these wounds from childhood that come from a father wound or a mother wound literally makes us feel unloved, makes us feel unworthy, unvalidated, and things like that, right? And when we heal it, it does the total opposite. It makes us look within ourselves and see how we do deserve love, how we deserve everything that we lacked. Just because we didn't receive it didn't mean we didn't deserve it, okay? And that's what happens, is sometimes subconsciously we adopt the idea that we don't deserve love because we didn't receive it. Hey sis, welcome back, girl. Yeah. And so it's like this love, it makes us get to this space where we know that we deserve love even if we didn't receive it, okay? Even if we didn't get it in our childhood. And then that starts to help us build ourselves up where we won't accept the type of love that comes from these wounds as well. Because sometimes we'll be seeking validation in others and we'll accept toxic love. We'll accept unrequited love because we're operating out of a lack mentality. Hey, Brad Beats made it. Welcome back, bro. Thank you so much for joining the live. Yeah, so it's like we get to this place where we have to get into this place where, yeah, we're accepting those things by reflecting on what we needed to heal from our father wounds and mother wounds. And then that turns into the validation that we were seeking from them, because then we do realize our gifts, our power, our skills. We recognize our hearts and the loving people that we are and the way that we can communicate. Everything that we desired that we lacked, that we healed, that we turned and then gained because we decided to heal those things are now our strengths. Now things that we can carry along with us that put us in this emperor energy, right? And then it allows us to be self-sufficient because it's like, well, I didn't even need my own motherfucking parents. So it's like, God, only like God is the only thing that we need. You see what I'm saying? When it comes to, it's like, if we have this mindset that all we need is God, then it puts a certain type of power. Like it puts this power in our hands that makes us be like unstoppable. You know what I'm saying? Because we're like, well, God got me. You see what I'm saying? But it's easy to fall into lack mentality when, like I said, you didn't grow up in a family where your family supported you. Then it's so easy to feel a level of lack, and feeling misunderstood because you're like, damn, my own people don't fuck with me. You know what I'm saying? Like, what's wrong with me? But it ain't always that something's wrong with you. It's more likely that something's wrong with them, mental issues or, spiritual issues, whatever. They got some shit going on that they needed to heal, but they didn't choose to address those things to heal it. But that's the difference between them and us. We're breaking generational curses and we're reflecting on the things and we're reflecting on the things that we need to heal. And we're going on that journey to do it. And even if we're fresh and new with attaining this new philosophy and these new ways of going about life, it may be new, but this is like all about the eagerness to seek this journey of fulfillment and happiness and healing and peace and all of these things. Okay. And that's what we have to have, that desire within us. That's the only way we're really going to heal anything, right? This is all about healing those childhood wounds, going back and giving our childhood self the love that we didn't receive when we were kids. You see what I'm saying? And that's what we have to do every day. Every day we got to go back and give ourselves something that we didn't receive. You know what I'm saying? And when we validate ourselves, that is how we continue to empower ourselves, because we continue to validate the fact that even though I went through A, B, C, D, E, F, and G, God still got me, baby, and I'm good. Like, I done overcame, I've ascended over all of these challenges. Like, my life, look at what God has blessed me with despite all of these things. When we start to have this perception, that is what empowers us, right? When it's like we fought through all of the bullshit that life tried to throw out of us, and look, we still here, baby. Hey, Prance317, thank you so much for joining the live. We're still here, okay? And that nothing is going to stop us. And the Most High is going to place the right people in your way. Okay, this is all about collaborative effort. People coming together to work on projects. Okay, career opportunities, business, whatever. You know what I'm saying? It's all about collaboration with people of like mind, like spirit, and things like that. So that's another thing. Our healing guides us through these painful situations where, because we're still dealing with the pain of the trauma of the wounds, we are calling in these unhealthy, toxic dynamics and situations. And then we're like, as we're going through it, we're reflecting, we're healing, we're like, this ain't for me. We're detaching. Then we're moving through life. We're attaining more wisdom. And then we're coming to this level of understanding of like, damn, like, I am actually way more, like, I'm dope as fuck. Like, how could my parents ever sleep on me? How could this person or whatever, whoever the fuck, how could whoever the fuck ever sleep on me? It doesn't fucking matter, baby, because look where I am at. Look what I have overcome despite all of these things. And God was with me the whole time. So that should empower you when you feel like, even though I didn't have the best upbringing, God was walking me through this whole time. And look where I have overcome and what I've accomplished in my life. You see what I'm saying? If you can't spin the narrative, and it's not like you spinning the narrative because this is the truth, but everybody else has been spinning your narrative. And it's like, you got to tell your own motherfucking story, because otherwise people are going to misinterpret and people are going to tell your story. And it's like, bitch, that ain't even my motherfucking story. Okay? Shut the fuck up. People always try to tell your story and they don't even know half of the shit that you fucking been through. You see what I'm saying? So This is why we heal, okay? We heal for the transmutation, for us to figure out and realize who we really are in spirit, okay? And then once we go through that healing, we start applying ourselves differently in life. And then God starts being able to bless us in the ways that we truly deserve. You see what I'm saying? But it's like, it's a certain level and a certain way that we got to go about life, and we got to go through the darkness, and we got to go through certain things with the still level of integrity, still level of wanting to attain a higher level of being. Like, you want to ascend, right? We talk about that Christ consciousness and wanting to experience bliss, joy, happiness, whatever those things that are in alignment with the frequency of God. You see what I'm saying? So it's like the darkness. You may have started out with the darkness, but it was only for you to reach the light, okay? So we're going to eat it on that, y'all. No, we're not. We're going to give you guys some advice real quick from the angels, and then we'll wrap this up. So let's see. What do the angels have to say? What do the angels have to say? What advice do we have from the angels? All right, so let's see. So we have reason, curiosity, and love, okay? So we're going to start with love, okay? So love, breathe with your heart. Feeling loved and sharing love is food for your soul. It is integral to our experience as humans. If you feel alone or don't feel loved, allow the angel of love to clear away the anxieties and fears that may have depleted you so that your heart can be nourished, restored, and replenished to its natural love-filled state. Confirmation, that's what I'm talking about. Pay close attention to the way you treat yourself. The love you attract into your life will reflect the love you have for yourself. In your interactions with others and the world around you, share your love and notice the ways that love is returned to you. Typically, the power of love will be felt in unseen ways, but may also show up in signs, synchronicities, or dreams. As you go about your day, visualize loving energy growing from your heart and connecting you to everyone and everything around you. So yes, Mother Supreme, big facts, okay? This is just confirming what we were just talking about, okay? Moving with the love, moving through the darkness, but with the seeking of light, right? Not to just look at everything like, oh, the darkness, this is fucked up, that's fucked up. But seeing the silver lining in everything is what really helps us and guides us through things, okay? And also that level of, like we talked about, nobility, right? Nobility and generosity and love, right? And acceptance of humanity and things like that. It takes us out of like this selfish place and puts us in a selfless place where it's like we are open and willing to empower another person, but also with the level of wisdom to ensure that we're doing that for the right people and we ain't just getting, used and abused and manipulated by the wrong folks either, okay? So the next one, y'all, is curiosity, okay? Inquisitiveness is the foundation of a fulfilling life. Ask the angel of curiosity to help open your mind. If you aren't interested in any opinions but your own, if your mind is closed, if you think you know all the answers, your life will lack purpose. Curiosity brings excitement, and it is what makes you feel truly alive. Allow the angel of curiosity to fill you up with the wonder of a child again and help you see the world as a place of endless discovery and enlightenment. Be curious about yourself. Who are you? What matters to you? What do you want to discover more about? Get curious about others too. Why do they behave the way they do? What can you learn from them? Seek out perspectives that are different from your own. Focus on asking questions rather than finding answers. When something is known, the learning and evolution stops. Never ever stop asking why. Big fact. I really like this one too, y'all, because that is the reality, is that there's always something lurking under the surface, right? So it's just like I'm always in a place that when people say things or when people take action and they do things, my mind is always thinking of what thought motivated them to act that way, okay? Or what thought motivated them to say that, right? It's like we're always thinking something before we say it. So it's like what was the intention or the motive behind that action? Okay, that is a level of curiosity. It makes you want to go deeper and think about beyond what is just the evidence of what is right there in front of you. Okay, y'all. So I love that. Okay, love and curiosity. And this also goes with the reading, because it's like us seeking that unconditional love for ourselves, also through the darkness of maybe where there was lack thereof, we still was able to find it. And the curiosity allowed us to continue to search for love when we didn't receive it. You know, we still had the curiosity of it. It was like the lack of not ever giving up on it, knowing that it still existed, even though we haven't received it yet. But that God is love. And as long as we are always in alignment with God, God will always provide that love in so many ways, facets and forms. You know, it will come. Okay. So the last angel message is reason. Okay. Ground yourself. Logic is essential for progress. Ask this angel to help you to remain rational. Okay. Reason avoids bias. It tries to discover what is true, whether you like that truth or not. Wishful thinking, anxiety, and intense feelings can cloud good judgment. If you feel confused or unbalanced, let the angel of reason bring you some clear-sighted guidance and illumination. Just because you think or feel something to be true does not mean it is. Step back, disconnect from your emotions, and take some time to reflect objectively. Consider the facts, develop a clear awareness of the reasons for your current situation, and create a sensible plan. Be open to learning from and correcting any mistakes made, and perhaps trying a new approach or changing your mind. If emotions are running high, try barefoot walking, also known as earthing. This ritual can not only help release stress and remind you that you are a part of something greater than yourself, it can also ground you and bring clarity and calm. Yes, y'all, big facts. So this is really taking me back to that idea that I was saying is like, you know, as children, our minds will naturally make up reasons and excuses, right? Or fill in the blanks to something if we don't make sense of it, okay? And like if we're feeling like we're being unloved or mistreated by our parents, one or the other or both, okay? The reason, right? We will start to come up with reasons and just try to make shit make sense, okay? But this is talking about grounding yourself with reason, right? So it's like when you don't automatically want to take it to the level of pessimism and assume that somebody is intending the worst for you or things like that, right? This is just a level of grounding yourself so you can see things through clearly and not in a jaded, smoke and mirror type of way where you are basing the projection of others, right, to become your truth, right? We're not doing that, right? So this is why we need to use reason, because when we're like allowing our intuition to feel things out, we're not just taking things for face value, because manipulators, people are dark empaths, people trying to just sway you for their own agendas, whatever, you know what I'm saying? These are going to be people that you're going to need to utilize this reason with, because sometimes what their reasons may be on the surface are not what their reasons are under the surface, right? So that's when you have to utilize your reasoning and tap into your intuition and how you feel about these things, okay? So y'all, thank y'all so much for being here and vibing with me, y'all. Of course, I want y'all to tap in, get y'all some Goddess Gang journals. Goddess Gang journals. Follow me on YouTube, TikTok, Vibe Priestess Tarot, okay? The link is the bio for all of these different links and things like that. And I'm sending y'all so much peace and love, and I'll catch y'all on the next live, okay? Mwah and mwah.